So whilst I'm browsing iPlayer looking for the next episode of Doctor Who for me to watch, I see this. What on earth is this horrific poster? I don't remember all those blue and silver Daleks last week. And why is the TARDIS there? It even says in the bloody description that there's no TARDIS. What a messy job of trying to promote the new episode. I think if you want somebody to go into the episode with high expectations, don't fuck it up for them before they've even started watching.
Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
Right, anyway, on to the review. Predictably, Missy and Clara are not dead, and Missy attempts to tell the story of their escape. What's really frustrating about this scene, however, is that the script can't focus on one point of view at a time. Whilst I'm engaged in the story about the 50 indestructible androids trying to kill the Doctor, Clara and Missy interject about sticks. This is just unnecessary comic relief, and it's beyond frustrating when you're trying to decipher their escape. Can you see why I couldn't make my mind up about whether I liked last week's episode or not? We find out that Missy was able to escape death multiple times by using the power of the lasers to activate her vortex manipulator. Great. That explains her escaping all the previous times we assumed she was dead. Sounds all well and good, except I don't know how Clara did it, when you consider she didn't activate hers like Missy did. Was it set to teleport at that exact moment? How did Missy know when exactly to activate Clara's vortex manipulator? I've been thinking way too hard about this ridiculous escaping death scenario now. I can just assume now that the sonic screwdriver can do absolutely bloody anything to advance a plot. Anyway, we have an extremely unfunny moment with the Doctor encountering a nest of vampire monkeys, and Clara tries to be witty like Missy but fails miserably before the title sequence begins. We return to the Doctor and Davros in the infirmary, and we see some of the appalling designs of Daleks running around like idiots looking for the Doctor. I don't know why the Daleks felt the need to warn every Dalek in the city that the Doctor had escaped when all they had to do was seal off all the exits leading to the infirmary. I think it's interesting that the reason why Davros is in that half Dalek baby walker thing is that he has no legs. But I also didn't find the Doctor wandering around in the baby walker that amusing either. Not because he basically just threw a disabled man out of his wheelchair and rode in it himself, but because I refuse to believe that Davros would so easily give up his place of residence. Why would the Doctor need to point a gun at Davros if he was just going to pull him out of the chair by force? We return to our two friends who make it down to the Dalek sewers, which doesn't consist of Dalek shit, but instead is made up of ex-Daleks. Why Missy had to beat around the bush and not just simply call it the Dalek dumping ground is beyond me. But she pushes Clara down a 20-foot drop, and she miraculously comes out completely unscathed. We return to the Doctor, who is still trying to make light of the situation again. I do now see that the reason why Davros survived Series 4 is because of the force field around his chair. It's pretty neat. Aside from the fact that it can be penetrated simply by putting a pair of hands in and pull Davros right out of his chair. Because we keep jumping back and forth between the three characters, this leaves very little in the way for tension. Well, I guess you don't really need it when you know that people can escape death by ducking, and the Daleks have now been made completely redundant. This comes back to a problem I addressed last week about using the Daleks in every series of Doctor Who. We know that the Doctor will beat them, and we also know that the Doctor will become allied with one of the Dalek faction's members, who will then turn on the Doctor so he has a reason to defeat them again. It's lazy and predictable to say the least. Clara points the pointy stick at Missy, and Missy grabs it off her. Doing so causes her arm to make a strange whip-like noise. This is another weird sound effect they used here, just like when the TARDIS key landed in the lava last series. The Doctor then announces he wants Clara alive, and the Doctor gets constricted by the snakes that he apparently didn't see inside Davros's baby walker? Is this the only ability Saf has, aside from his unravelling? Spontaneous appearances of snakes where he wants them? We see him unravel once more, and we also see that Clara really can't think or act on her feet. Missy puts Clara's face up to the Dalek CCTV camera, and she doesn't question it. She then willingly and without refusal allows Missy to handcuff her to a wall. She doesn't even struggle. She doesn't resist her in any way. And only when Clara is actually stuck, she decides, oh, maybe now I should put forward a complaint. She's so stagnant that I can't give her the time of day anymore. So Missy blows up a Dalek and... Wait, so it didn't blow up? Then what was the explosion for? Dramatic effect? An excuse to use a transition back to the Doctor? It doesn't matter anyway, because Clara gets inside the Dalek and she once again refuses to challenge Missy on her intentions. What a pushover. We are told that emotion is what fires the Dalek weaponry, which is a pretty cool idea, but I thought the whole point of the Dalek creature was that they were emotionless. How can they fire the gun at all if the creature inside has no feelings? The Doctor wakes up on the last chair on Skaro. The best part is that this didn't even need to be a thing. No one needed to say that this was the last chair on Skaro, nor did there even need to be a chair in the room whatsoever. Why couldn't the Doctor have just woken up on the floor? Or maybe he woke up restricted by the snakes to stop him pulling Davros out of the baby walker again. This chair now opens up the questions. How did it get there? What Dalek was able to pick up the chair and place it in Davros's room? Colony Staff doesn't have any hands, so he couldn't have done it either. Why would it even be placed in a room for a man who has his own chair anyway?
I believe you are not carrying your sonic device.
That's because he gave it to you! We still don't know why he did that anyway. The two of them have a long and semi-interesting conversation that leads to the two of them having some friendly conversation about the good old times. Meanwhile, Clara and the Time Lady try to infiltrate the Dalek Empire again, which once again demonstrates how awful Clara is at thinking on her feet. When the two are questioned by a Dalek, she cannot answer the questions as quickly as she probably should. It's a good job Missy is there, because otherwise Clara would be fucked. Davros starts crying and I'm slightly annoyed that Davros has eyes altogether. I thought the whole design of Davros was that he had nothing but sockets and replaced his vision with the blue ball in his forehead. It's scary that he has nothing but sockets, but now suddenly we have to rip off the end of Return of the Jedi just so we can have an ounce of emotion?
Just for once, let me look on you with my own eyes.
As if it couldn't get any worse, Davros then wishes to see the sunlight with his own eyes, just like the Dalek in the Chris Eccleston episode Dalek. The unoriginality these first two episodes have displayed breaks my heart. This scene could have been a lot greater if he hadn't said that line about seeing the Doctor with his own eyes. I did really like the part about them being on the same side, but like I said earlier, we already know where this is going. It's all a big trap to get the Doctor to do the Dalek's bidding. If this sequence wasn't so predictable, I would appreciate these conversations a lot more. We have more begging from the Doctor as if that would make any difference to this situation. And then we have the most nonsensical twist in the history of Doctor Who. Davros uses the Doctor's regeneration energy to power up the Daleks more, right? Okay, fine. But do they really need it? These are still, on paper, the most efficient killing machines in the universe, right? And who is the only person who can stop them? Who is the only person who ever stops them? That's right, the Doctor. He is the only reason for the Daleks' downfall, each and every time. Why on earth do the Daleks need an upgrade from the regeneration energy when they could just kill the Doctor? Obviously, this wouldn't make total sense when you consider that the Doctor is vital for the show to continue running. This is the reason why the Daleks should stop showing up as the antagonist in this show. They just create plot holes. Their existence now doesn't make any sense. Just give it up. They're redundant. The only thing the Daleks need now is to rid themselves of the Doctor, but they know it's never going to happen, so they should just settle on a planet somewhere and live out the rest of their days killing each other until there are none left.
The Daleks have failed! Why don't you finish the job and make the Daleks extinct? Rid the universe of your filth! Why don't you just die?
Chris, your words have never meant more to me than right now whilst writing this review. Anyway, Missy comes to the Doctor's aid just in the nick of time and blasts all the cables. Sarth, the shitty CG snake, then dies and the Daleks power up again, with Captain Obvious telling us what just happened in case we fell asleep for the past half hour.
We are renewed. We are more powerful. The experiment has succeeded.
Then all the Dalek sewers start regenerating and cause Skaro to cave in on itself. Missy then says a very funny farewell to Davros, followed by poking him in the eye, and the Dalek shit comes through the walls. The scene involving the Doctor, Missy and Clara in the Dalek was pretty interesting, considering the translation of Clara's words into Dalek language has changed so dramatically. When the Dalek case opens, the Doctor realises that Clara now has regeneration energy placed inside her, which could mean that we now can't kill Clara off because she could possibly regenerate. What I thought would be a more interesting ending would be for Clara to be stuck inside the Dalek, and the plot would bring us full circle to the beginning of the Asylum of the Daleks, where we first met Clara at the beginning of season 7. Obviously there would have to be a lot of loose ends to tie up regarding her change of name and how she got to the Dalek Asylum after this point in time, but I'm sure Moffat is a smart enough writer to do that kind of thing. But he doesn't, because he knows he has to keep Jenna Coleman on the payroll for the rest of the season. Anyway, we come back to the main room with all the Daleks lolling around, and the Doctor explains his glasses are now his replacement for the sonic screwdriver. Our duo escape in the TARDIS, and Missy claims she has a very clever idea when she's confronted by a group of misogynistic Daleks. I really hope that the Daleks don't come back as Missy's secret army. That would be so lame. Anyway, the Doctor realises that the Dalek Clara was sitting in shouldn't have been able to say the word mercy, and he travels back in time to kill all those lovely hands that popped out of the ground. One of the few things I thought would have some more depth doesn't get any. Disappointing, but if it means that they're part of the plot development, fine. The Doctor gets Davros out of the mess he's in by being stupidly accurate and killing all of the hands. Davros then says this:
Which side are you on? Are you the enemy?
And I can't help but wonder why on earth the details of the war are not mentioned. In the classic Who episode Genesis of the Daleks, there is a war on Skaro between the Khaleds, the original creators of the Daleks, and the Thals. Why these details couldn't be included in this 90-minute story, I assume are for the idiot audience that the BBC has to cater for. I would argue that the only people that are left watching this show are heavy-duty fans, but then again, a child might not even know the details of a war itself. Maybe the parents wouldn't want to give away too much information in case they get upset. Whatever the reason, it's disappointing that they left these details out. Speaking of the viewers on Doctor Who, I was wrong about the hashtag "the planes have stopped" in that last night's episode didn't quite get the ratings I thought they would. But it's also great to think that their hashtag didn't actually work. A bit of a ha-ha from me to you there, BBC. I may have predicted wrong, but at the end of the day, you guys have lost out on your viewers. So, did it suck? Yes, it did. It really did. I give this episode a 2 out of 10 because of so many things. This episode is riddled with inconsistencies, humour that makes the Daleks seem like nothing more than a trope for this show now, predictable outcomes and lack of tension amongst plenty of other things. There are some tiny good things that crop up here and there in this episode, but it is just horribly outshined by the sheer awfulness of everything else.